Hello, where's my orange juice? I left my orange juice upstairs and my cookie. BRB. Okay, before I get into this video, this is unimportant, but I thought you should know two things. Oh, my hair, honey, no. I took a nap, I showered, but did not straighten my bangs today, so this is how we're gonna be. Okay. Number one, I am going to be filming like here a lot because the lighting by my bookshelf in the other room is pretty bad. The lighting in here is okay. And second, I don't have a ring light or a tripod and I have to sit when I'm filming. So that's that. I think this is the best lighting, this is the best setup. Once I get more stuff behind me, it'll look better. Second, oh, this is crooked. Second, I will probably be posting once a week from now on Fridays. Because school starts for me. This is a rant video about bisexual representation in YA specifically. I mean, just in books in general. So I'm going to first talk about two books that are very well loved that I have a lot of problems with. And then I'm going to talk about what I want to see from bi rep or even polysexual rep. And then talk about some books that have good bisexual, polysexual rep. So, this is my own voice's review on Leah on the Offbeat and kind of Ramona Blue. You'll see. So, we're starting with Leah on the Offbeat. Hi. Hello, Becky Albertalli stans. I'm really sorry if you love this book. First, I want to say I understand why some people love these books. There are definitely redeeming qualities to them, but I could not get through the whole thing. I DNF'd both Leah on the Offbeat and Ramona Blue because I didn't feel like who I am was being represented accurately and in a way that was respectful. And I didn't want to identify myself with these characters that were acting like this. So if you don't like that I didn't read the whole thing and I'm still making a rant, bye. But I did not read the whole book of either of these books. First, Leah on the Offbeat. I don't remember how much I read of it. I think like a quarter of it or so, like 25%, maybe a little bit more. Let's just start, okay? Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. Really great book. I really love the book. The movie, absolutely amazing. And Leah in that book is someone I never liked. She's very rude, very jealous, which I understand some people are like that. And she's very quick to judge and holds a grudge. And I just really did not like her. And I didn't think that she was a great friend for or to Simon, really at all. But I respected that that's Simon's friend, that's his choice, so, you know, I just kept reading the book because she didn't really ruin that book for me, it just was my opinion on her. And then I started to read Leah on the Offbeat in like June, I believe. Leah is fat and bisexual, which is great representation, and that is very important to me. I am bisexual or polysexual, kind of questioning. But she is very, like, she has a mentality about being the way she is that isn't healthy and that I don't feel like was addressed or anything for the part of the book I read, which was that she has this mentality that any girl who's skinny and pretty is not as good as her because people just like her because they're skinny, or people just like them because they're skinny and pretty, which, like, I get because I know people that struggle with their weight and some people do treat people differently because of their weight. But she's so mean to Abby. She disapproves of her and Simon being friends, disapproves of her and Nick being together. Just everything about her just like screams, I hate Abby. I dislike interacting with skinny, pretty girls. I also read a few reviews this morning like a summary of everything about this book that happened, just so I could like quick see and like also reference that, although I didn't read it, so take what you want from that. She likes Abby, apparently, like, she likes Abby, like, she has a crush on Abby. She likes, what? She hates on Abby. She's really disrespectful to her, wants really nothing to do with her, only like acknowledges her because she's friends with Simon, they're in the same friend group, but she's so jealous of her and like really awful to her. And then, what? Like, okay, like, I don't understand. You hate her and then you like her. And again, back to like the skinny, pretty mentality that those people aren't real people is kind of like her thing, that she thinks she's a better person because she's fat and she has an actual personality, and that people who are skinny and pretty don't have a personality because people just like them because they're skinny and pretty. That is her mentality, at least in the beginning of the book that I read. And the parts of the book I read, there was no plot. This is like a rant review on these books when I'm really trying to talk about like bisexual representation, but I just feel like I need to like explain. She liked this boy named Garrett, and I'm almost positive that he liked her too. And like, she's just awful. So like, I get some people go through crushes quickly. She liked Garrett, he liked her too, and then she starts liking Abby, the person that she hates. But anyways, what I'm trying to say about Leah and Offbeat is I don't like the way this was represented by who I don't believe is a bisexual author, which I do think that people who are straight and non-queer can write queer books, but I think that especially if they end up like this, I don't want that person. How did Becky Albertalli go from the like king of all YA contemporary queer books with Simon to this crap that I literally hate? What? Who? How? Okay, I need my glasses. This is getting serious. So she's awful in this book, in Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda as well. And as a bisexual, polysexual person, I just want it to be addressed when someone is a very unlikable person and really mean to other girls, even though they like girls, because what I see in YA and in real life is that girls who are mean to other girls tend to be straight. And that is like totally my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. And I'm not saying that girls who are straight can't like all girls and not be like anti-feminist, like hating on other girls. I'm not saying that, but that is just what I've seen, is that girls who are straight tend to be more like hating on their same gender. But she is just awful to people, which I get is different because she is a fat main character, but she doesn't like, she's just so mean, and you would think that like since she is overweight, she would understand like what it's like to be like looked at differently, I guess. and like she doesn't know, she doesn't care. I'm going to go to Ramona Blue, which is what started this whole video's idea and what inspired me to finally pick up Leah on the Offbeat, even though I had a really bad feeling about it. Let me just tell you like my thoughts before reading this book, what I thought it was going to be about, what it was pitched to me as. It was pitched to me as a girl who is a swimmer that is lesbian, but since sexuality is fluid, which I completely agree with, she starts to fall in love with a boy and is bisexual. Character traits about Ramona. Oh, it's also an own voices novel since Julie Murphy is bisexual, which I really appreciated and was really excited for. I wrote here, Ramona is 1, not a feminist, 2, biphobic, 3, anti-straight people, 4, all she wants is attention, everything's about her. Okay, let's like go through those, okay? 1, not a feminist. She's like, again, really awful to other girls. She says some things to her mom, which I wrote in my Goodreads review that now has like disappeared. Although she does not have a good relationship with her mom, she outwardly, in her inner dialogue, calls her mom fat. Shouldn't wear what she's wearing because you can see her cellulite. This is like all from memory, so if I'm like a little bit off, I'm very sorry, but this is what I remember. I believe she calls her like a whore or something along those words, and I'm just like, and just so many things. She's like making fun of her own mother, her appearance, her like everything. Like I get being like, ooh, honey, like I think you're a little bit like old to wear that, but like what? Like no, she's like being a B word. Like she's so awful. Literally sitting there looking at her mother, who she has an estranged relationship, so I understand the not wanting to like get along with her, not getting along with her. But like she's so awful. She's biphobic, which you're like, that's weird since she's like pitched as being bisexual, which is another thing we'll get to. She's biphobic. She likes girls and thinks that liking boys as well as girls. Like, I think there was a comment, I don't remember the exact sentence because I don't have this book. I read it on ebook. It's no longer, it's not available to me right at this second. And there was a comment that she said about the girl she was with. That girl had a boyfriend, which is also another thing we'll get to, that it wasn't fair to her and that she needed to like pick one, and it wasn't so much like, oh, you need to pick one person. It was like, pick a gender. No! And then, in her town, there were only a few queer people, which I understand being frustrated that like it's kind of that those straight people in her town didn't really accept a lot of these people, but like some people are straight, some people are bi, some people are pan, some people are lesbian, some people are gay, some people are ace. There are like there's lots of things that you can be. And just like people say that being lesbian, being gay, being queer is not a choice. It's not a choice to be straight. Some people may continue to act like they're straight because there will be consequences in their family or something that will like could really harm them, but they're not. Even if they're not straight, they're not like, it's not a choice to be straight. It's not a choice to be queer. It's not a choice to be any of those things. And like, even the straight people that were nice to her, she's kind of like, but they're straight, which is like a mentality that you can't have. Like I said, that she needs attention all the time. Everything's about her. And like when her girl from the summer who has a boyfriend isn't texting her, she's like, who does she think she is not texting me? I will never read another Julie Murphy book, which makes me sad because there is a movie for her other book, Dumpling, coming out. I can't remember when, but like I refuse, and I just can't, because this book was worse than Leah on the Offbeat. Some of these I had written down, and one of them I saw in a review, and I couldn't remember if I had read that, but I felt like I needed to address it as well because I did get about 25% into this book as well before I DNF'd it. This one I remember definitely I read. The quote is, "I am a human being, I think about sex." After she gets like nudes kind of from her girl lover that has a boyfriend again, you do not have to think about or want sex to be a human being. There's this thing called being asexual, or anywhere on the ace spectrum, and like, which brings in another topic that's like, well, are these Julie Murphy's actual views, or did she create this character to be unlikable on purpose? Because I was watching a Books and Lala video where she talks about how she doesn't dislike books even if the characters are unlikable, because that's not necessarily how the author is. So I feel like as a bisexual person, the author needs to realize that the bisexual people, or just queer people in general, that are reading this book want to be understood, especially if they earlier had identified as a lesbian and now identify as bisexual. But she it seems like the author doesn't care and kind of just wrote her story, that, which I understand, you should not write for the readers, but at the same time, it just wasn't something I was looking for. I read this book looking at a book that said it was about sexual fluidity, which it is definitely, and I think that's one thing that needs to be addressed more in books and in real life, because that doesn't seem to be, a lot of people don't think that's a real thing. Love interest also says some very lesbophobic things when she first tells him that she's identifies as lesbian, as she still does at that time. And then later he kisses her, but he kisses her, which is not something, if someone tells you they identify as a lesbian and you're a boy and you decide to kiss, like, please don't. That's like highly disrespectful. There was no consent in that at all, first of all. And then she's also not identifying as someone who wanted to kiss, date, be attracted to boys. And then she starts to like him, and I'm just like, honey. Like, I get sexuality is fluid, but it took you for him to give you a non-consensual kiss while you identified as being a lesbian to start liking him. Yeah, okay. Another quote she has is, "Even straight people are a little gay," which comes off as biphobic to me and from other people. That it's basically saying that being bisexual isn't real, because even straight people are a little gay. I used to identify as straight. I thought I was straight. I'm not. And then I started to be a little gay. And that's saying that I'm still straight, but I'm bisexual. Explain that to me, Julie Murphy. Explain how you wrote that about your own identification in the queer community. What? No. Also, Ramona has no qualms about being the side chick. She's literally the side chick to a girl she met over the summer that has a boyfriend, does not live near her, and she thinks she's entitled to this girl's attention all the time, even though she does not live there. They live like hours apart, but she thinks she's entitled to all of her attention. And she was the side chick, which, like, and this girl is still happy with her boyfriend. And, like, so Ramona, just, like I said, needs attention from people all the time. And then, the thing that really gets me, I obviously did not read the end, but I saw in a Goodreads review that Ramona at the end never states her new identity in the queer community. She says that she's not sure if she's questioning bisexual, polysexual, or just queer. So you're telling me, Julie Murphy, that she doesn't know what she identifies as, but you're labeling her as bisexual, even though the character never says that. And then you say it's own voices. If you're going to say that the character is bisexual and that it's an own voices novel because you are a bisexual author, you have to make the character bisexual. Like, you have to make her identify that way, or that doesn't work. That's not how it works. I really can't. Leah Maffey, Ramona Blue really disappointed me. I have them in a folder on Goodreads named Yuck. So, now I want to talk about some of the books that I have on my shelf that I've read that have bisexual main characters, not necessarily the protagonist, but main characters. One of these have the main plot line or main aspect of being queer, a bisexual, polysexual person, which is why I also made this video. We have Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, this duology, where Jesper admits that he likes both girls and boys, but I do not remember if he ever says that he is bi or pan or just queer, so I'm not going to label him, but there's that, which I really love that representation. Jesper and his love interest, which I won't spoil, are my favorite couple in this book. Another book that I read recently, Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake, where the main plotline, again, is not that the main character is bi, but I did appreciate the relationship and romance that was in this book with the main character, Mara. And I think adding that to a book okay, so with all these books, I do want to say that I like that it's almost more normalized and that the whole premise is not on just being a queer person and queer teen. But I also, every so often, would love to read a book that is centered on that, because parts of my life have been centered on that, and parts of many others' lives have been centered on being queer, coming out, hardships, the bullying, everything that goes on with that. Last book is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shannon McGuire. One of the twins in this, Jack, is bisexual, and this is probably my favorite book with bisexual representation. Jack and her girlfriend, I cannot remember her name, are so adorable. Like, I love the conversations they have, although this is short. This series is short. Like, well, there's going to be a lot of books, but like every book in it is extremely short. There's a lot packed in it's very well done. But like, I'm absolutely in love with how Shannon McGuire includes queer, all types of representation, but especially queer representation in her books, and makes it seem normal and normalized, while still talking about the hardships and the things that these kids go through. So I really love Jack and her relationship. What I want to see from YA, or just books in general, YA is what I usually read, which is why I tend to say YA, but I also would just like to see this in all books, is a book where being bisexual, specifically, I would really love to see bisexual teens, where the story is focused on them being bisexual and things that happen around that don't have crappy main characters. Because although there are obviously queer people who aren't nice, as there are straight people who aren't nice, and straight people who are nice, and queer people who are nice, or those that are in between. And everyone is nice sometimes, everyone is mean sometimes, I guess more than that I mean like I don't know how to explain it, because I wouldn't say that Leah or Ramona are bad people, they just don't do the right things, or say the right things. But I would like a book with a character who's bisexual, who does the right things. Maybe not all the time, because everyone is flawed, but I want someone where I can say, oh, I might not be that person, but I feel the way that person does. Obviously, the character does not need to be exactly like me. They don't need to, like, be my personality for me to feel that, but I don't want girls who hate on other girls and then start liking them, or hate on being bisexual and basically saying that you need to pick a gender and then starting to identify as bisexual. That makes me really disappointed in queer rep in books. I just really don't understand, especially Julie Murphy's book, how a bisexual author could write something so biphobic, so lesbophobic, acephobic, and none of those things that she says or thinks are ever addressed. I also really enjoyed books such as They Both Die at the End, but that love story was very rushed and very insta-lovey and didn't feel very extremely real, even though I really did highly enjoy that book. But I just want something realistic, where the character is not a butthead the entire time, and especially if it isn't addressed by other characters or realized by that character later throughout the book. As a 14-year-old girl who has grown up thinking that she was straight and then starts to realize that she also likes girls in a state in the United States that has a very low queer, especially out queer population or people that really truly accept that. It really makes me sad about that the people who can write these stories, specifically Julie Murphy. I'm calling out Julie Murphy right now, and I feel bad, but at the same time, I don't, because this book just really hurt me, where she has the ability to write an own voices book about a bisexual main character, and she makes it about a girl who doesn't represent most of the people that I know who would like to read it, because it's very acephobic, biphobic, lesbophobic, anti-feminist. Also want to say I don't want to force these opinions on you. If you have completely different opinions, go ahead, let me know in the comments. I would love to discuss this. But I just think that the representation of bisexual and or polysexual individuals in literature needs to change. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, please comment your opinions. Let me know how you feel about this. Bye.